I honestly look at people with love and compassion, and I try to send tons of love their way, right? Love conquers all. And, I will stick to that. I will stick to, trying to love somebody versus hating them. And hate is such a strong word. I would like to say dislike. Let's start using that word because hate is just so strong. Welcome to Reclaim Your Energy. We're back again. This time we're hosting it at my office because it's a lot quieter here.
Yeah.
Instead of the kids running around and my husband running around, we thought we would take it to the office. And you've got some new equipment. I'm impressed. I'm talking a lot lower.
Yeah, I felt like, this is a good way to keep your voice a little bit down.
I love it. So this week, I wanted to cover a couple of topics just from commentary and what we've, feedback we've received over the channel. The first thing I wanted to cover was negativity. Mm-hmm. Right? How do you deal with negativity? We know that it's around you all the time. It's in your life. It's constantly a part of you because, chalk it up to the pandemic or chalk it up to, just people being miserable, right? Yeah. How do you deal with that? So Jamie, I'm going to throw it over to you just to get your perspective. How do you deal, with negativity?
It really depends. I try to always look at it in a positive perspective. I feel like everything, it's not so much negative or positive. I feel like it's an experience and you need to go with the flow. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I approach this properly or not, but that's how I try to do it. But I always try to flow towards the positivity. Like if anything negative happens in my life or what I'm doing, or if somebody's being negative with me, I always try to say, okay, I try to breathe nowadays a little bit more. Let that kind of like settle in a little bit. And then I respond. While before I was like, and that didn't work out too well because, especially when you're looking at a negative side of somebody else. If somebody comes up to you negatively, I think they're expecting the same back.
Yeah.
And if you throw them a curveball, which is going into more of a positive, I think that throws them off a little bit.
Yeah, it's, you know what, I'll be honest with you. Even today, I struggle with, and not struggle, that's not the word to use. Sometimes it catches me off guard, maybe for about, 5 minutes, and then I recenter and then proceed on with life. But I believe negativity does exist. We're in a suppressed society right now due to COVID. Everybody's in fear. We're in our third lockdown, and that causes a lot of anxious feelings, right? So you're going to encounter it. Mm-hmm. You're going to encounter it in the grocery store. You're going to encounter it at the dollar store. You're going to encounter it everywhere. Everywhere, yeah. So you need to be equipped. And, not for nothing, my meditations, whatever that looks like, which we are going to talk about, in the second episode, but my meditation helps center me so that when that comes at me, I know how to reply back, right? And the truth is, I even said to, Philip, my healer, there's a lot of negativity lately. Like and I get it. We're in a suppressed society where everybody is, negative or angry about something, right? Because you have no control of what's going on. And when you have no control, you reside at a lower frequency and you're angry and you're uncertain and you're fear-based. So I try wholeheartedly to look at the other person with compassion and understand where they're coming from before I proceed to react to anything, right? So I really do look at the situation and try to understand and then guide them through it, right? And have them see, was it a big deal? Like, was it really a big deal to react the way, you reacted? And I had this morning and, being at work, I had that this morning with an underwriter who replied so negatively, and I sent a positive note back and said, I hope your day becomes better. And he apologized. Like, he sent a message right away and said, you know what, I'm so sorry. We're transitioning home. It's very stressful. So I understand. That's what I'm talking about, suppression, right?
So
this is happening right now.
do you find that in most cases, when you do respond kindly in a positive manner, you do get that from people? You do get them going, okay, you know what, I probably shouldn't have said that.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I do. And I wholeheartedly do. And I don't just say, you know, do the action, you know, and then, you know, hopefully you get that. I do believe, and it's my story. So I believe that every encounter that I have, that, you know, it's going to come, my outcome's going to be positive. I wrote my story, right? So today I wake up and I write my story. I'm going to have the best day possible. You know, my kids wake up every morning and I have them say a mantra. You know, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm number one, I can do anything. What I do is when I wake up, I write my story. I'm going to have an awesome day. I'm going to have the best encounters, right? And this is what we do, right? This isn't something that's rocket science. You know, it's not. Like, this is very easy stuff. And, you know, Einstein talks about this. I've been doing a lot of reading on Einstein. And, you know, people may have said he was crazy, but he was onto something.
Well,
right?
he looked kind of crazy.
He did.
But let me ask you a question, though. Like,
all.
what about, you know, people might ask you, okay, yeah, that's all fine and great, but what happens when everything goes wrong from the moment I get up? Like,
and we talked about this, Jamie. Yeah, a couple of days ago,
What's your perspective on that? And, like, how should people react afterwards? Because, you know, let's say 3-4 things just end up going wrong right in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, what do you feel like they should be doing?
I'll be honest with you. This morning, I'll give you a prime example. My son did not want to do homeschooling. He was like, I don't want to do this. So I started school at 8:00, and I could see it in him. He did not want to do it. He wrote his story. He woke up, he's like, I don't want to do school today. Usually he's the first one in the classroom, excited. He just didn't want to do school. So within the first 5 minutes, I was like, you know what, buddy? You don't have to do school today. You know what? You choose, like, he chose his path. So, and it was perfectly fine. He likes to do school every day. I'm not saying he's a kid that says every day I don't want to do school. So let's not comment on saying, oh, well, you know, she just doesn't teach her kids. It's more about, you need to know your boundaries. You're going to have bad days, right? There's going to be bad days. Like, this is the human earth plane. This is what we do. We come here for experiences.
But why does that happen?
What do you mean, the bad experiences?
Yeah. Why is it that some days we wake up and it's just negative?
Because we're in a negative society. I don't know if you realize we're all suppressed, and we're all, everything you watch, from the news to, you know, I watch the news and I get anxious.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
if you're
to
waking
politics, to everything. Everything is a negative spin. Because, you know, it's suppression. They're trying to suppress, you know, how we think as a society.
So
just interactions alone, like human interactions. I've watched some interactions on Facebook where people are yelling at each other out of the blue. Makes no sense. When did we lose the connection of love? When did we lose the connection of looking at another human being with love and compassion? When did that happen? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
So do you think that when we wake up in a bad mood or in a negative mood, is that still residual from the day before or from our subconscious? Like, does it come from back there? Like, is that why?
No, because it's more of your ego. It's your ego that, you know, takes over your human experience. Like, I believe wholeheartedly, you know, and this is a huge topic on ego, right? Like this is like another episode all on its own. But your ego takes over. You have to make that choice. Like last night, I was like awoken like 3 times. You know, my kids to this and that. But I woke up at 5 a.m. I still woke up at 5 a.m. I still did my daily, you know, routines because I wanted to start off on a good note, right? So, you know, I didn't want to start off. I could have twisted that a different way and put a spin on it where I was angry, but I chose not to, right? You have the choice to write your story. So you can honestly turn that switch off if you want. You have that choice. I'm not saying that I turn it off all the time. Some days I do exactly what my son wanted. I don't go to work. I take the day off, right? Because I want to experience that. I want to experience it, but I also don't believe I should spill it over to every other person that I encounter, right? So I think it's more about, we were made to love each other. And I think everybody just chooses a different way. Like everybody's like, no, I'm going to go with what society tells me to do. If you just in one day, and I say to everybody out there, in one day, turn on the news, go on to Facebook, go on to Instagram, go on to everything. Take a tally of how much negative items are out there. And subconsciously, you're going to end up, and that's what I'm saying to you, you do social media. Like, this is what you do. You're immersed in this. So how you don't wake up every day, upset in that is beyond me, because you have control of your life. You have control of your mind. It's all about the meditation. It's all about controlling your emotions. It's your story. Like, I can't even emphasize that. So I can't say to you, Jamie, you made me have a bad experience. No, I chose to allow you to have me have a bad experience. And that's wrong. I have the choice. You can be as angry as you want. I can literally look at you and say, okay, Jamie, I hope you have a better day, and walk away and just disconnect, right? And just, and go on, continue living my life happy. But it's like giving your power away. And I've talked about this before. Don't give your power away to just anybody. Control it. It's your power. You have the ability to find out any information you want. Think about it. You do. Yep. Google is and I say this to my team all the time and they laugh about it. Google is one search engine that can teach you everything. You have it at your fingertips, but yet you follow what a Facebook post says. It blows my mind away to read comments where people agree and it's a flat out lie.
Yeah, there's no fact checking,
No, it's scary. Like you have to check. You have to do your research. You have to educate yourself. And I find that people give their power away to social media. This is huge, right? You follow a trend. You believe a story. You believe somebody else's story. Like you have within you, your gut feeling can tell you if something's right or wrong.
I always say, you're right. There's so much negativity in social media, especially if you dive into those comment sections.
Yeah.
Woo, man,
you can go down a rabbit hole. Like
it's crazy the amount of negativity you can find on the comments on anything.
That's right.
Especially if you go down, if you follow somebody that's famous and you go down their comment section, it's like, how is these people commenting what they're commenting? It's kind of crazy. But I do have to say, social media isn't the bad thing here. I think it's human nature. I think social media amplifies what humans are. Mm-hmm. And I believe that we need...
But it's a platform that humans communicate from.
Agreed.
Right?
But I think we need to not so much, shift the blame into social media. I think we should realize that as humans, we need to start looking, like you were saying, we have to look at ourselves and say, hold on, why am I being this way?
Yeah.
Like, would I say this to that person if that person was right in front of me?
Exactly.
Would I hurt their feelings that much? Would I call them ugly or fat or whatever it is that
I'll be honest with you, not for nothing. Since I was a little girl to now, and I say this wholeheartedly, I've been in so many fights because I've fought a cause for everybody, in high school to grade school to everything. I could never see myself, just because I love connecting with people. I love people. I think they're great. I love helping people. And I always used to think, something has to be wrong with me, that I care so much for people, because that's not what I saw around me. Like my family, of course, like my mom, my dad, my brothers and sisters, for sure. But I mean, outside that world where, people that aren't related to you, you're like, wow, I couldn't even, some of the comments I do read, I'm like, wow, how did your parents raise you? Because essentially I'm always like, when I look at my son and my son does something, that I'm like out of character, I'm like, was that me? Because I'm his world. Essentially parents are the world of that child, right?
So in a lot of cases, they say that kids emulate what they see around them. So
100%. You should see my daughter. My daughter will say stuff that's so beautiful. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. My husband's like, she gets that from you, right? So it's amazing to see that. So I'm always aware of what I'm saying in front of my kids. And I've had bad days. I want to emphasize, I'm not waking up and everything's perfect. It's not. Everybody has a bad day.
The battle is the journey, right?
Exactly. But I want to say, just, to the viewers, to anybody out there, just be cognitive of what you're saying, what you're doing, how you to reply to people. And I would exactly say what you said, Jamie. If you were in front of that person, would you say that? if you were in front of, because some people where I'm like, I'll call them out and they're like, oh no, I wouldn't, no, I didn't do that. And I'm like, no, but you did do that. Do you not? And I try not to, something I taught the team, or I just sent out to the team this week was, I've started a new thing, do no harm. So if I'm in front of you, Jamie, and I'm talking to you and I know something, your perspective is wrong, I'm not going to argue with you, because if you wholeheartedly believe in it, my first, thought is, does it do harm to him to say something to him? And if it does, I'm going to tell you right now, as much as I'm not like, and people who do know me out there, I'm not like that. I will move forward being that, because I don't want to do harm to other people. Just because I need to get my opinion across, I'm going to hurt that other person. I don't want to do that anymore. So, my new mantra is, does it do harm? Anything if I'm standing in front of you, is it going to do harm to you, right? To say something. And if everybody just reacted or used that, this world would be a lot better.
Somebody once told me quite a few years ago, if and whenever you have to respond to somebody, always think your mom's sitting right next to you. And would you say what you're about to say if your mom was sitting there, right?
So true.
Would you be that mean to somebody? Because you would be thinking, my mom didn't raise me to be this way.
Exactly.
So I shouldn't be doing this.
Exactly.
So I always kept that one in the back of my mind.
No, it's true. I just, I hope, things improve. I really do. With these lockdowns, I honestly have no belief or comment or anything about it. I just believe that the lockdowns are causing a lot of, fear. And it stinks because we're controlled, right? So when you start to cage people, that's exactly what happens. Fear-based. Like, I went to the grocery store on Sunday, and like at the dollar store, and my stepdaughter was with me. And I had said, I literally said to the woman, I said, do I cash out here? And she was just very rude, like extremely rude. And I was just shocked, but I didn't say anything. And, my stepdaughter was like, why didn't you say anything? And I'm like, because she's afraid. Like, I don't blame her. We're going into a lockdown tomorrow. I don't blame her, right? Yeah. So she doesn't know what her future is going to look like. You don't know what's going to happen, right? So, I honestly look at people with love and compassion, and I try to send tons of love their way, right? Love conquers all. And, I will stick to that. I will stick to, trying to love somebody versus hating them. And hate is such a strong word. I would like to say dislike. Let's start using that word, because hate is just so strong. But yeah, so I like that. It's very important that, when you do get into a situation, and we all have been there, where it is negative and you're dealing with somebody that's, just relentless. And we've had them. I had this last week, and I literally walked away from the situation, and I went back and I wrote a loving response, because that's going to conquer negativity. When you reply with love, compassion, I promise you, the other human on the other side is not going to understand what you're doing, because that is a different code. You're changing the code. So I would just suggest, negativity, as you may think this podcast was going to be like this big story about, all these little tips and that, but the truth is, just reply with love, compassion, and you will change that situation. You will change the vibration.
Well, my question was going to be, do you have any tips? But I guess now I don't have a question. The tip is really that.
It is 100%. So dealing with negativity, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. We need to understand this, that, negativity will happen. It will happen even to you. You pointed it out. How do we avoid ourselves negativity? This is the human earth plane. We are here for experiences. You need to experience this. You wrote your story. You write your story every day. So change your story. You know what I mean? You don't want to be negative today. You don't like that feeling. Change it. Write a new story. That's the best tip I can give out there. So
amazing.
All right. This was an awesome podcast. Thank you so much, Jamie. I feel like you're my only guest, and it's awesome.
No, thank you.
All right.